Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast. Welcome to my channel. I had a request during one of my live spin and chats for some teach me how to spin. So we're going to start off with some absolute bare minimum basics. We're not going to jump into spinning wheels right off the bat. We're going to discuss drop spindle. A drop spindle, all a drop spindle is a hand spindle. It's a stick with a weight on it, and sometimes they have a hook on top and sometimes they don't. What do you do with this stick? Well, we put fiber on it, of course. We're going to turn fiber into yarn. So we're going to take something like this, or even like said yarn, they call it, but it's actually roving. This, and turn it into actual yarn, usable yarn. In this video, we will discuss how to get started on the drop spindle, what certain things are about it, and then we will work towards adding the fiber that we're spinning to the shaft of the storage space below the whirl. Different things like that, and we'll see how it goes. So some drop spindles or spindles have a hook on top, some do not. Some have a whirl, which is your weight, on top, and some actually have them on the bottom, and that's where the weight goes. But irregardless, this shaft dowel rod that the weight is on is your storage space for the fiber that you are spinning. So this particular drop spindle came from Sheep Sprouts. Yeah, Sheep Sprouts. I will put their information down below if they are still in business. I have had this for quite some time now, and if they're not in business, I will find another company. With mine, I received about 4 ounces of fiber in various colors. You kind of got to choose like a colorway. And so yeah, that's where I started, was with this. Now we'll move into what are we going to do with our fiber to prepare it to start using this and making yarn. So I'm going to set that down, and we're going to talk a little bit about roving and some fiber. I'm not going to get into a big definition of all the different wools and all of that. We're just going to talk about Spindle and a blend that you can pick up from Hobby Lobby. A lot of spinners prefer to use some type of wool, alpaca, silk, things of that nature. To start with, I suggest it because it's going to hang in there a little bit better. The roving, quote, number 7 yarn that you can get from, say, Hobby Lobby, it's real slick because it has a high quantity of acrylic. That is the main base of it. It does have some wool in it. It does have some polyester. That polyester's thick or slick too. So where the difference is on what you're going to do, what you're going to use is going to be on, your preferences and what you feel comfortable with. Starting with a slicker roving is not easy because when you're spinning, if you're not careful, it'll pull apart on you and your spindle will drop and hit the floor and you get all kinds upset. When you use a wool, it holds together a lot better because each individual strand of fiber has little barbs on it, so they connect. That's why wool is so great for felting, because they connect and then they mat down. So now we're going to talk about drafting this fiber. you can use it straight from what would be considered like a bat, which is a wide piece, and you spin across back and forth. You can also use different size rovings. So when I'm talking about drafting, what I'm talking about is if you have your roving in your hands and you're holding them at a good distance apart, and you pull, okay, now we're smaller, get a hold of it, and you grab both ends and you pull again, getting smaller, keep dropping the one side, and keep doing that until you get down to a spot where it no longer pulls apart. Okay, so here we are. Now it's not pulling apart anymore. This is my staple length. So I know when I'm spinning, get that little chunk off of there. I know that when I'm spinning, I have this much room to work with. That's it. So when I pull the fibers, now I'll bring back one of those other pieces. So when I'm pulling the fibers and drafting, which is just separating, making your roving thinner and dropping down to smaller amount of fibers, I know that I can only pull about half that distance to 3/4 of that distance before it's going to pull apart. So I'll go down till it's about half that distance of that staple length. The next step would be, again, we would draft down about half that length. And if I separate these, you can see that there's a lot more fiber here than there is closer to my hand, my right hand. The thinner it is, the thinner your single will be. Once you have created one single, you will take it off of your said device to spin, your spindle, and spin another one, and then you ply them together, or how many ever singles you want to ply together. So that is drafting. You're thinning out the amount of roving that you're spinning from, and you're creating air, you're adding air to this dense fiber. Like right now, we can't see through it, but when I draft it out, you start getting to the point where you can see through it. And we've given it a lot of air. You're just simply pulling apart the fibers and allowing only a certain amount to be spun at a time. Pre-drafting is absolutely one of the most highly recommended things for beginner spinners. The more you pre-draft, the better off you are a lot of times. It makes it easier to concentrate on the amount of twist you're putting into your spin, your fiber here. So now I'm going to take just this little bit here, which again is the acrylic base, and I'm going to start on my spindle. But I also want to talk about, you can add what's called a leader. I have and I have not used a leader. That is completely up to you. All that is like an extra step. You're putting a strand of yarn onto your storage space or onto your hook, whichever. Usually it starts on the hook. And that way you can add your fiber to the twist that's in that yarn. That is completely up to you on how you want to do it. Let me see here. I will show you what I mean by that. So here's a piece of just regular yarn. This is probably like a 1 weight, fingering weight, something like that. And all I'm going to do is put a slip knot in there at one end. and place it on my hook and pull that tight. So now when I spin with my fingers counterclockwise, it's twisting this here good and tight. Now, you can't see it, but I stick the dowel rod between my knees and hold it. That's called parking it. You can also stick it under your armpit and hold it. That's parking it. The only thing you want to do is make sure when you stop and you go to park it, you're not going towards the edge of the hook. You're going towards the back of the hook like that. Because again, if this drops on the floor and fiber starts untwisting, you definitely will not be a happy camper. So yeah, we're just adding twist, and I find it easier on the drop spindle to spin counterclockwise and then ply them together clockwise. So now I have quite a bit of twist in this. I'm going to go ahead and use this strand, which is your leader, and show you how the fiber will twist up onto, or how the fiber will twist onto your leader. So I'm going to get a little bit more twist there, and I'm going to grab a piece of my roving, and all I'm going to do is place the end of my leader to said roving, give it a little bit of a twist so that way the fiber kind of attaches itself, and then gently release the twist from the hand that is holding the leader up to my fingers that's holding the fiber up into my hand. So I'm going to release, and then it's going to start spinning. See how it's spinning around and around and around and around. Now that twist has gone over the end of the leader and up into my fiber. So now I'm going to twist it again, same as I did, counterclockwise. I'm going to add some twist to it, and I'm going to park it between my knees. Now I'm going to take my empty hand that I gave it twist with and reach up here and switch. I'm going to grab hold of where my other hand was, my other fingers. I'm going to hold that twist, keep it from going up into this big ball of fiber. You do not want that. That's a pain in the neck. Okay, and then you're going to gently draft out fiber, and then release that twist, and it's going to come all the way up to your next stopping point. Just like that. So it's went all the way up. Now, to put this on your storage space, make sure your hook is facing away from the fiber that you're spinning. And some spindles have a little notch in them for your leader to go. Mine does not. So what I do is I reach up and I grab it with my thumb and hold it down to the dowel and get it started. Now it's actually attached down at the bottom, and you just spin it on. I'm going to go past that leader connection to where it's just the fiber that I have spun. And now I'm going to go back up and around my hook, just like that. So spin, add twist, and if I take and bring the spindle to the hand that's holding the fiber, you will see that there is a lot of twist. See how it's making a big old pigtail? There's a lot of twist there. That's energy. That is stored energy between the spindle and my fingers that is holding a stopping point. So I want to release that energy. I'm going to park my spindle, take my fingers and switch. So now my empty hand is going to be the new or the old stopping point. And I'm going to take the fiber and draft it out, create a new stopping point, and allow that energy to release into this fiber here. Like that. Now it's gone up to its new stopping point. Then I will spin, park, switch hands, draft out some fiber, and release that energy up to the new stopping point. And that's all you keep doing. Spin, build up a bunch of energy into that yarn that you're creating, park it, take your empty hand, place it at the stop point, and now we're going to draft out fibers and create a new stop point and release that energy up into those fibers. Now I have quite a bit here. I'm going to go back to the bottom by unhooking it and adding it down here to my storage area. Making sure I leave enough room to hook back onto my hook and start spinning again. Now your very first spin is probably going to look like art yarn. It's going to be over twisted, under twisted, all kinds of stuff. It happens to everybody. Release the twist, add energy up into the fiber. Park, draft, create a new stopping point, release the energy up into that fiber. Again, spin that drop spindle, park, draft, and release to your new stopping point. And then add to your storage space. I like to build up the top and slowly work down like a cone. Leave enough room to hook back onto your hook at the top. Spin, park, draft, release. Put this on the storage space. And now I'm going to grab just a little bit of green to show you how to add in when you're running low on fiber. And because this is wool, 100% wool, and this is a blend, it's going to be fun to get them to connect. The wool will connect to the wool for sure. Let's pull this out just a little bit. There we go. Draft it out. So I'm going to give it some good twist first by spinning that drop spindle. Got a good amount of twist. Now I'm going to park it. And now I've got my fibers all spread out like that. Lots of air in there, little amount of fibers. I'm going to place one in with the other over the top, so that way they are crossing each other by at least 1/2 to 3/4 of a staple length. And then when I release that twist up into it, it's going to grab those fibers. Now see how it has grabbed those fibers? Now we're going to add a little more twist so we can get it fully connected. Park it, reach up here and grab where the two are connecting. And you can see there's still some pink. Quit. You can see that there's still some pink in there. So I'm going to draft out the new fiber. And this is where you got to make sure that you're getting about the same amount of fiber in there, which is difficult when you first start. And then release that energy up into, and there you are. It is now connected to the new fiber. So I'm going to give it a little bit more twist. Draft out some more of the new fiber. Let that energy run up into the new fiber. And add to the storage space because I'm running out of room out here for you to see. Place it back on. Give it twist. You will feel that twist come up to your fingers. Park. Change hands. Draft out your fibers. And then release that energy that you have built up in the twist to go up to the new stop point. Again, twist, draft, create a new stop point, release. Twist, park, draft, create a new stop point, release. And then add to your storage space. And that is all there is to a drop spindle. There are many different ways that you can spin. You can, if I was to draft this out a little bit here, here's my stop point. I can add twist like this and just continue until the whirl and spindle quit adding twist up my yarn. And then reach down, spin it again, and continue adding until I've got a whole great big long line of it, and then just add that to the storage space. That's a little later. Can't always do that right away. You end up dropping your spindle more so than anything. But that is about as simple as I can get it in under 30 minutes on how to do drop spindle spinning. So this is a single ply. It's done clockwise. Next time we will take this off and take 2 singles and ply them together using the same drop spindle. So until next time, everyone, be blessed and be a blessing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.